It is a true honor and a joy to be here in one of the most prominent synagogues in the world, my first time, hopefully not the last. And actually I would like in the next 3 minutes to discuss a few things, but first I want to start by honoring the true Chatan of this day, Eitan. Where is he? Right there. And continue the wise words of Rabbi Guzik, who mentioned Aaron HaKohen in the chest plate on his chest that features the 12 tribes of Israel. If we read the Bible, we find actually something quite intriguing, is that those chest plates, the stones on the chest plates are complemented by another 12 stones on the shoulders of the Kohen Gadol, which reminds the Kohen something which I think is very prevalent for today's day and age, is that every person must remember that their relationship is both between them and other human beings, and that the moral standard for this relationship, which needs to be absolute, is between them and divinity. You stand on a crossroad between the absolute moral standards that forces you as a human being, and then the multiple diverse challenges of being human on this earth. One can definitely say that after October 7th, we have been witnessing the tremendous burden of moral clarity in the face of moral delinquency that spreads throughout the Western world. In that respect, in my role as Birthright Israel's International VP of Education, a program that, as of today, has brought to Israel over 850,000 participants from all over the world, one of the most, thank you. One of the most pressing questions that I've been dealing with and speaking about all over the world in the last 4 months has been, how do we treat this revolutionary moment in the evolution of the Jewish people and the state of Israel, and quite honestly, in the evolution of civilized humanity. And I have a few comments about that to be presented very briefly here. We need to make a clear distinction, in my opinion, between sight and vision. The sight before us is tremendously difficult. What we've been witnessing for the last 4 months, not only in Israel, but throughout the world, is truly a devastating sight, not only of carnage and death, but also of what I called before moral bankruptcy. Sights, by definition, elicit a response. And they elicit a tactical response, an immediate response. They also have a tremendous emotional gravitational pull. When you are faced with a sight that is difficult, you want to enlist, you want to help. And I want to tell you as an Israeli that your enlistment and help and solidarity is very much felt in the state of Israel. Very much so. But it's not enough for us to only delve into the sight itself. We must have a vision. And while the sight is difficult, the vision must be positive and attainable. It must be a vision of hope, not only for us, but for our children. And it must be a vision that charts a trajectory of positive life and the celebration of Judaism. What worries me more than anything else, and I'm saying this to you as my brothers and sisters, is that we turn October 7th into yet another hefty dish on a plate of Jewish tragedies throughout history, and that October 7th becomes yet another cornerstone in a Jewish identity formation that is based on anti-Semitism, Israel hatred, war, persecution, and bloodshed. So I want to be very clear. I'm not a Jew because of October 7th. I am a Jew despite of October 7th. I'm not a Jew to defend Judaism. I am a Jew to celebrate Judaism, and if needs be, I will defend it. I am a Jew because I believe the Jewish identity should be based on the inner mechanisms and values of Jewish life, which we should celebrate and be proud of, rather than be a reactive mode to threats to Jewish living. I want to be a Jew even if there isn't a single anti-Semite around, because that's the reason to be Jewish. We are the ever-living people, not the ever-dying people. In that regard, when it comes to education, ladies and gentlemen, we face great challenges. We live in a world today that professes an inverse relationship between people's almost unlimited access to information on the one hand, and a much lower ability to engage knowledge in depth on the other. We live in an age of well-informed ignorance. We live in a world that presents to us an opposite relationship between low levels of knowledge and very high levels of opinion. A lot of people who have a lot to say about things they know absolutely nothing about. And it is our duty, my friends, to present a counter-cultural platform to the current zeitgeist that seems to reign high in our Western society. A culture that offers true dialogue between people in a world that seems to be obsessed with parallel monologues. A culture that presents to people the responsibility, which is the true mandate of education, not what to think, but rather how to think. A culture that allows people to understand that in order to engage in a dialogue, it is not only enough to celebrate your freedom of speech, but also to exercise the moral dignity of becoming a resilient listener. And above all, to understand one of the greatest Jewish values that I can articulate. Unity among Jews has always been a value. Uniformity between Jews has never been a value. The fact that we disagree does not mean that you are not my brothers and sisters. And that's the thing that we need to teach our next generation. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the great ethos of the Jewish people, which makes me so proud to be a member of this great family. And on a personal note, I must confess I have quite a few distinguished members of this great immediate family of mine sitting right here. Is that we are committed, and we have been committed for thousands of years, to a legacy that at the end of the day says one thing. We are here as Jews because we wish to turn the world in which we live into a world in which we believe. Let's believe in the goodness of mankind. Let's believe in the beauty of education. And let's move forward to do great things on behalf of our future. Shabbat Shalom to everyone.